This is a CBS 42 breaking news report.
And in this case, this officer had less than 2 seconds to decide when they saw an individual after a shooting with a gun in his hand, with an aggressive stance, moving toward innocent bystanders in that mall, what action could he take to be able to stop that threat? And we believe that he acted reasonably here.
And with that, Steve Marshall, the Alabama Attorney General, released graphic video of the shooting death of E.J. Bradford and the moments afterwards inside the Galleria Mall on November 22nd. You're watching a CBS 42 News breaking news report. I'm Sherri Jackson.
I'm Jack Royer. We're coming on the air this afternoon to bring you the findings from this 24-page report issued today by the Alabama Attorney General relating to that shooting inside the River Chase Galleria on Thanksgiving night. The primary findings of which are that the officer who shot E.J. Bradford executed his duties and functions on that night, and accordingly, based on Alabama law, the Attorney General shall refrain from bringing criminal charges, saying that he did not act in a criminal manner.
Attorneys for the Bradford family, Benjamin Crump, issued a statement saying, in part, it is outrageous and beyond comprehension that the Alabama Attorney General has concluded that it was reasonable for a trained law enforcement officer to fatally shoot an innocent civilian, one whose only action was an attempt to help protect the public and whose only crime was being black. That's end quote from an extensive statement from Benjamin Crump.
He goes on to say the decision to evade a grand jury mimics the darkness patterns of injustice woven throughout Alabama's sad history of race relations. We have Attorney Crump's full statement right now on our CBS 42 News app. A
CBS 42 News reporter Robert Sherman joins us live now. He's at Hoover City Hall. And Robert, that's where the family held a news conference moments after Steve Marshall released that report.
Yeah, talking to that family today, Sherri, as we've said from the beginning, the family and attorney Ben Crump, they've been very outspoken from the beginning that E.J. Bradford did nothing wrong. You might even remember that independent autopsy that showed that Bradford was shot in the back 3 times. So I asked Attorney Crump if he was surprised by these findings. He says that he's upset, but he's not surprised at all because he firmly believes that this is a cover-up. Attorney General Steve Marshall released that video today. Let's take a look at that right now. Here you can see bystanders scatter, and in the corner, E.J. Bradford being pursued by police and being fired upon. Marshall's report says that police had opened fire because Bradford held a gun in the ready position, and because of this identified him as a deadly threat. But Ben Crump, the attorney, he says that E.J. Bradford did absolutely nothing to deserve this fate.
E.J. Bradford did nothing wrong on that video. Marshall keeps saying that the video doesn't tell the whole story. Look at that video for yourself. He is not part of the initial confrontation. He runs away. He also then gets his gun as he goes back to protect his friend, which he has every right to do. He did absolutely nothing wrong on that video.
And the family of Bradford truly affirms that they firmly believe that this is a cover-up. But again, Attorney General Steve Marshall saying that the video doesn't tell the whole story, but he's confident in the investigation. Encourage everybody to watch the video and read the full report. And a copy of that report and the video is going to be on our website, cbs42.com. We're going to have more information on this story as it develops throughout the day. Jack and Sherri?
Robert, thank you. Of course, Attorney General Steve Marshall issued that report, finding no reason to pursue the criminal charges against the Hoover police officer much earlier today, to some surprise for some.
And we've also learned a lot about the investigation that led up to this report today. The fact that SBI interviewed 48 people for this investigation and viewed video from not only surveillance cameras around the Galleria, but also body cameras from 4 separate police officers. All of this unpacking this report from the AG today. Our Rashad Hudson in Montgomery tonight spoke one-on-one with the Attorney General, who told you, Rashad, he does feel confident in this report.
That's right, Jack. He also said this video is really compelling and he hopes that it answers a lot of questions that the public may have. Now, we were the first to speak with Attorney General Steve Marshall this afternoon. Following that report, he tells us the report is validated by 3 different agencies, the FBI, the AG's office, and the State Bureau of Investigation. He says witnesses heard the officers give a verbal command during the incident, but that has also been disputed by the officer.
This officer had less than 2 seconds to decide when they saw an individual after a shooting with a gun in his hand, with an aggressive stance, moving toward innocent bystanders in that mall, what action could he take to be able to stop that threat? And we believe that he acted reasonably here.
Now, Marshall says he released all information based on the guidance from the Alabama Bar Association. Now, back out here live in Montgomery, we'll have more of that video coming up on CBS 42 News at 5. But for now, live in Montgomery, Rashad Hudson, CBS 42 News, local coverage you can count on.
In the months after the shooting, in the immediate days afterwards, of course, protesters gathered in Hoover demanding the release of the full video. CBS 42 News reporter Corey McGinnis is live at Hoover City Hall right now, where protesters are expected to gather in about an hour. Corey?
Yeah, good evening. Well, protesters have been very vocal on social media today after this ruling came out. This comes after State Attorney General Steve Marshall ruled that the Hoover police officer is justified in the fatal Thanksgiving Galleria Mall shooting that took the life of 21-year-old E.J. Bradford. Now, members of the Justice League confirmed today that the protest will begin in about an hour at 5 o'clock here behind me at the Hoover Library. Upset about that ruling, chanting no justice, no peace in the past, and also upset that the case is out of District Attorney Danny Carr's hands. Now, this is the same group that's been very vocal in protesting in the past at the mayor's home in Hoover, protesting at the mall here in Hoover, and no word right now on if that protest will expand once they gather here at the library tonight at 5 o'clock. But again, I'll have another live update coming up at 5 as this story continues to unfold. We're live in Hoover tonight. Corey McGinnis, CBS 42 News, local coverage you can count on.
Thank you. Joining me now, criminal and civil trial attorney Eric Guster. You have been following this case. We talked to you in the immediate days after the shooting happened and the protests in Hoover. What's your reaction now after seeing the video that was released?
I saw the video and I read the report. Kind of interesting that Steve Marshall did not put this on the grand jury for the grand jury to decide, but a prosecutor has the right to dismiss a case or not pursue charges in the case, just like at the Attorney General's level and at the local level. So the DA can do the same thing if they do not see probable cause.
And so locally, it was taken out of the local hands. It was given to the state. The state has made a ruling here that they will not pursue criminal charges. And so for there to be recourse, there's a civil trial probably going to happen here by way of wrongful death.
Yes, and that's going to be the best thing for the public to really gain understanding of exactly what happened. Because when you have a civil trial, a civil case, they can take depositions, they can take testimony. These people will be forced to sit down and answer Attorney Ben Crump's questions about what they saw, what they did, their training, if they could have done something differently, if they could not have done kill shots, would that have been effective? That way Ben Crump and his team will have the right to make sure they ask all those questions that they want to be answered.
People were asking for body cam video. A lot of this is surveillance video that has been edited down that people are able to see. The specific body camera video of what the officer saw, I think will be important. What about you? Because Marshall is saying he had 2 seconds to react.
Yes, but I don't believe the body cam of the particular officer who shot was available at that time because they were on a hold mode because they were working the Galleria. But that is one of the things that Attorney Crump has mentioned, that he wants that release to show the public what the body cam was. But Attorney Crump's team did say that they saw the body cam video already.
You talk about the report and the 3 law enforcement agencies who have been weighing in on this particular report. When you read it, what stood out to you as in oh, that's new, I didn't know that?
The thing there are a few things that stood out to me when I read the report. Number one, EJ was running towards his friends. The officer stated that he thought the threat was to his friends who were shot. However, the law does say that if a person feels that someone is an imminent threat to anyone, then they can use bodily force. That is what the law states. So from EJ's family side, I get their frustration. If he was running towards his friends and he wasn't a threat to his friend, and that's going to be that one thing that everyone's going to really wonder about.
And so as we get more information in this particular case, and as CBS 42 continues to go through the report along with attorneys like yourself who've taken the time to go through this and who have a public interest in finding out what happened, we will continue to follow it. Jack, I'm going to send it back to you as we prepare for the news at 5.
And Sherri, as Mr. Guster and you both discussed, the body camera from Officer 1, as it is mentioned in the report, that body camera was in standby mode at the time of this shooting. The officer saying in his his statement, both given on the scene and later in writing in this report, that he didn't have time to turn on the camera before pulling his gun and dealing with the situation. As the Attorney General mentioned, and as is mentioned among the many details in this report, that both of these shootings happened within 5 seconds of each other. Our coverage continues both on the news at 5 and then right now on the CBS 42 News app.
And of course, we are taking your comments as well. Our reporters in Hoover also standing by downtown to get the very latest on this ruling, as well as we're expected to hear more from Benjamin Crump as he dissects this information and they figure out next steps. For CBS 42 News, I'm Sherri Jackson along with Jack Royer. We'll see you on the news at 5.
This has been a CBS 42 breaking news report. Local coverage you can count on.